What's up, guys? It's Chris.
It's been a while.
Today, I wanted to settle a heated debate in the DVD community. Is Survivor or Killer more overpowered? And I do want to say real quick, I've been on a long break from DVD due to the developers seeming to not really care about their veteran player base and still keeping their main focus on making sure new survivors have as much fun as possible. But I missed you guys a lot. So here we are. Dead by Daylight is an inherently unbalanced game, as it's a team of 4 people against 1. This gives significant advantages and disadvantages to both sides. So first, I want to break those down. On the survivor end, they can use teamwork to their advantage to force the killer into a lot of lose-lose situations. Dead by Daylight is all about time management at the high level. Through good communication, very simple strategy, and some decent perks, survivors can make games an absolute nightmare for the killer. Generators at a base 90 seconds a pop sounds like a decent amount of time, but with so many perks and items available that shorten this, it can be more like 30 to 45 seconds in a lot of situations. And that's not even considering the fact that if the killer is chasing one survivor, 3 others should be pressuring generators all at once, effectively making 3 generators take 90 seconds. Notice that I said should be. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm gonna try my best to not dive into specific perks on each side right now because there's simply just too many, but add generator speed on top of exhaustion perks, buying survivors upwards of 20 seconds in chase every single chase. There's a lot of time killers just lose for free. Another thing to quickly note is survivors repair generators at roughly 4 times the speed that generators regress after a killer kicks them, meaning even after a killer damages the generator, survivors can quickly gain the progress back. But with all this said, being on a team of 4 also carries some pretty heavy disadvantages, which anyone who plays solo queue and Dead by Daylight knows. DBD is designed to be an intense PvP horror game, meaning there's a lot of quick decisions to be made. Emotions can cloud people's judgment, and even one weak link in the team can easily allow a seasoned killer to completely take over. If you got that baby Meg on your team who refuses to help in any way because she's scared of the killer, or if it's that Dwight who just booted up his Switch for the first time that doesn't know he can look behind him when he's getting chased, the survivors can be missing a lot of crucial pallets on the map or simply have no time to get generators done while they try to save their team. All it really takes for a team to fall apart in DBD is one player who's not doing anything to help out and the game's just over. Even if a survivor drops every pallet on the map and runs the killer for 5 minutes, if no one else is focused on generators, there is no chance of winning. And this can be a really real scenario in solo queue. While DBD is designed to just be a fun game to play with friends, when it comes to the game balance, these are all things to carefully consider. I've mostly been talking about solo queue here, as a survivor team on voice chat with access to all the best perks and items in the game has proven time and time again that even the nurse has no chance to win. But that's simply not the average team in Dead by Daylight and wouldn't make for a very interesting video. I also want to talk about the advantages and disadvantages to being your own team as a killer in Dead by Daylight. Killers have access to quite a few perks to help slow the game down and buy them some time to do their jobs. And as your own team, you don't need to rely on anybody else to do their job. You just need to focus up and do the best you can every single match. That is a luxury survivors do not have. Killers also have the ability to completely eliminate players from the game, something that luckily behavior hasn't added to the game for survivors because that would effectively cause instant death for DBD. And when one player is completely eliminated, just as I was talking about one weak link ruining the game for the survivors, the power completely shifts in the killer's favor, so long as they can eliminate someone fast enough. 3 people attempting to complete generators while the killer's constantly pressuring at minimum 1 person is a massive momentum shift. To break it down quickly, when the killer hooks a survivor in this situation, one survivor is forced to go and save them, while the other is most likely being chased by the killer, meaning nobody's touching a generator or progressing the game. This cycle can easily repeat itself. With that extra survivor, at least one person can be doing a generator at all times. With all that said, being a one-man team also comes with some pretty heavy downsides. Killers in DBD have maps that are generally better for them than others. Ghostface loves an indoor map while a Huntress hates them. Deathslinger loves an open auto-haven map while a Trapper will never be allowed to trap without a survivor seeing it. And because you're a one-man team, you have no one to pick up your slack in your weaker maps. RNG is a big factor in DBD that we'll get to in just a bit. But a map roll maker breaking a ton of killers in the game means that you're going to have to fight through that Larry's as Huntress without anyone to cover your weaknesses. On the flip side, for survivors weaker in chase, other survivors can come take hits or even try to get the killer to focus on them instead. Another big disadvantage of being on a one-man team is you have no one else giving you any information. You will be forced to bring perks or rely heavily on game sense to have any idea at all of where the survivors are or will be. You don't know how much progress the generators have. You don't know exactly what items or add-ons the survivors have or their perks. And with every survivor and their mother using windows of opportunity, as well as having the HUD, even without voice comms, the survivors have infinitely more information than the killer at any given time. Now, with all this said, I'm sure a lot of you guys have your own opinions on which side is more overpowered. But there's a bit more we have to talk about first. There are verified statistics for killer kill rates and survivor escape rates. So while generalizing killer versus survivor in this video definitely makes it catch your title, it isn't quite so simple. The overall average kill rate for killers in DBD across the board is 56%. This means on average a killer will get 2 kills a game, which makes the game a tie in my view. However, there are a significant amount of killers below this average, 27 to be exact, showing that killer strength levels across the board vary a lot. There are also survivor mains that are significantly better than the average survivor, with Lori and Ace mains having basically a 50% escape rate. Escaping 1 out of 2 games consistently is extremely solid, especially if it's in a solo setting. Also, just something kind of fun and interesting is Felix and Jonah players are just statistically the worst. Now, with all this being said and understanding the facts are much different depending on the killer, I want to use only the average for the purpose of this video, even though the majority of killers are much lower than the average. This means on average killers do not win, but tie. And as far as behavior is concerned, this is healthy for the game. However, this is the part of the video I also really want to talk about skill requirements. A killer like Deathslinger or even Blight take a significant amount of time to really master. Knowing the tricky things you can shoot through or the optimal way of running a chase as a killer are all things that take hours and hours of practice. My biggest personal gripe with Survivor is that they can simply hold left click for the majority of the game with little to no thought required, and drop some pallets when they need to, allowing the rest of their team to simply hold left click. While the simplicity of Survivor in and of itself isn't overpowered, the fact that the strength of the role is basically equal to killer with almost no thought requirement in the core gameplay is a big issue to me. Before I get to the end here, I do want to point out a couple things. There are killer mains like myself with thousands upon thousands of hours who have managed to win streak on a variety of killers for many games, sometimes in the hundreds, and this is a testament to how strong a lot of the killers and perks are as well. Because if the game was completely in the survivor's favor or really did have an enforced 50% kill rate, this would never be possible. However, I really believe on average the people playing DBD just do not play anywhere near as much as I or some of the other killer mains have, especially after checking hours throughout my time playing DBD, which makes it all the more insane in my personal opinion when these same players can and do beat high level killers. I'm now getting more into my personal beliefs than objective fact, and I want everyone to understand that, and we can all have a nice conversation in the comments. But whenever I've played games, especially PvP games, I've always thought that any class or character that doesn't take any particular mechanical skill should never be strong. This is a big reason I and basically every sane person who played DBD thought 3-gen Skull Merchant was such a massive problem for the game. She could win games by simply right-clicking a drone on generators and walking between them. Nothing interesting at all on the killer POV, and definitely felt terrible to play against. Now, on the flip side of that, survivors have access to things that can complete generators in sub 30-second times. Almost every survivor you'll ever see will have some form of exhaustion, which require basically zero effort or thought for a massive payoff. And you can call me crazy, but I think if someone practices killer every single day and consistently improves, they shouldn't be losing to survivors that are inexperienced simply because they have good perks and items. To me, this is what makes Survivor the more overpowered role. It doesn't mean it's like this in every single game. It doesn't make every single match on the survivor's favor because it's just not true. Certain maps do favor certain killers and can heavily play into whether each unique match is better for one side or the other. Sometimes survivors do choose to not bring exhaustion or second chance perks like Unbreakable, giving the killer a lot better odds as well. And in the vast majority of DBD matches, there will be a weak link on the survivor side, even in a Swift. I think everyone can also agree that a very strong Swift on voice chat with the best perks and items in the game is simply the strongest thing there is in DBD. No killer will be 4King in these situations. And that means at Survivor's highest level, it is the strongest thing in the game with very little mechanical requirement, an objective that anyone could do. And at its very average level, survivors escape half the time and can still beat a strong killer with a little bit of luck and holding left click. But I am really curious to hear what you guys think about this stuff. If you guys think it's survivor sided or killer sided, and just share your thoughts. I know it's been a long time since I've posted, so Not expecting everybody to be back in the videos and stuff like that, but all of you guys who are here, miss you guys, and I really appreciate you. I'm gonna be doing my best to reply to every single comment, and if we could do our best to try and keep it civil, because sometimes in these videos, you know, it can get a little bit hostile in the comments, and I really don't like seeing that stuff. I'm gonna be back playing DVD along with some other stuff on the stream, so I hope to see you guys there, but either way, I will catch you guys in the next one.